Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is a presentation on the power of Plickers. My name is Ashley Winkle. I am with the Literacy Council of Tyler in Tyler, Texas. I am now actually a director of distance learning. I have also been a high school equivalency teacher as well as a professional development trainer and a technology integration coach. So we're going to go ahead and get started on Plickers. So Plickers is a cute name, but what the heck is it? By the end of this presentation, educators will have learned what Plickers is, how to use Plickers in the classroom, how to create their own Plickers account, how to go live with Plickers, and reasons to use Plickers. For a quick overview, let's watch this short video clip to help us understand, because Plickers is really visual for you to understand, so I want you to get a basic overview. Okay, so that gives us an overview of what Plickers is so that you have a little bit better idea visually of what Plickers is. So what the heck is Plickers? A powerfully simple tool that allows teachers to collect formative assessment within moments. It is a formative assessment tool that only requires one device. It is a formative assessment tool that students need no technology to use. They only need a QR code, and Plickers provides up to 63 for free. What you need a Plickers account, which is pretty easy to get. It doesn't take very long to set it up. I believe you can sign in with Google. You need one computer, an overhead projector, Plickers QR codes, and one mobile device. About the QR codes. So each side has a letter, as you can see. So there's an A, B, C, and D. Each code is unique and the letters are small, so students cannot copy off of one another. The codes can be printed for free or purchased matte laminated on Amazon for about $20. I believe you get about 40 cards, and that is probably the best option. Because you can laminate them, but if you do laminate them, they tend to shine a little bit, and then it reflects and doesn't scan as well. Each code is numbered and can be assigned to the students. So the number is going to be represented on the overhead, which you'll see shortly. Codes can be printed in different sizes. Larger sizes work best with larger groups. How does Plickers work? So each student is given a card with a unique visual code. The code has 4 sides, each lettered A, B, C, and D. The student holds the card so that the letter they choose to answer the question with is at the top of their card. A question appears on the overhead. Students hold their QR code up with the answer at the top of the card. The teacher then scans the room with a device, and the app recognizes and captures responses. This is compatible with Android and iOS devices, so the cool thing that I know a lot of teachers like about this is you only need one device. Your students don't need anything. All they need are the codes. The teacher immediately sees who answered correctly and receives a class average of correct answers. So you could see right then and there, as soon as you scan, you know who's gotten it correct and who has not, and what the overall class average is. Students' names are assigned to the cards. If they come in on your phone or your device as red, it means they got it wrong. And if it's green, they got it right. This is what the students will see on the screen that's on the overhead. Students hold up the card with the sides A, B, C, and D they think is correct on top. And then once students' cards are scanned, the student's name is checked off at the box on the right. So this is an example of an actual class that I had at one point, and so their names will be checked off as each person's card is scanned. The teacher can then see a student scorecard afterwards that will give them an idea of who was getting, how each individual student did on the questions, and you'll be able to see who needs help with certain areas versus others. You're also able to see a question history. So on this one, you can see we did very well. We got 100% on the first one and 0% on the second one. So these are teachable moments for me, so I can get an idea of what we still need to work on. If I scan the room and we only get 60% right, that's an opportunity for me to take some time with them and go over whatever the question was. So how do you get started with Plickers? To get started with Plickers, you would first need to go to plickers.com. Click on the sign up in the upper right-hand corner, and then feel free to follow along on your own device as we go through the steps if you'd like to, because this kind of walks you through each step. It's easy to sign up. You only need to enter your name and email. I believe that now Plickers also gives you the option of signing up with your Gmail account. You will never receive emails or spam from Plickers. And once you get in, this is what your dashboard is going to look like. You'll see you have a library with all your tests on it that you've created. You've got reports. You also have a demo class that you can look at. You add your first class, you just click on add new class. You'll see there's a live view also. That's when you actually go live with Plickers. You'll be clicking on that button. And this is where you can print your cards. So you can print your cards if you want to. You just want to keep in mind that's a lot of ink. So be prepared for that. It may be worth it to go ahead and purchase them on Amazon, but if you would rather do them this way, that's fine. Your account information will be here. And if you ever have any questions, they are pretty good at responding. They have a help section is there as well. So what do all these buttons mean? The card button lets you print cards. So you'll notice that you can print up to 63 cards, I believe. And you can do them in different sizes. You can make them large or you can make them small. I do recommend if you have a very large group of people that you would probably want to use the larger cards. Otherwise, you can go ahead and use the smaller cards. And they are available in different font sizes as well. The classes button. The classes button allows you to create your classes. You go to add new class. You simply type the name of your class, and these are up to you. If you want to create a year or a subject, that's completely up to you. You don't have to. And then you can choose a color if you want to. Library button is where all of your tests and your questions are stored. You can use either multiple choice or true and false. You're also able to add images as well if you want to. They do not have the feature yet that you can add video, but I know they are talking about composing a whole entire library for teachers to share with each other. I do not believe at this date that they have done that yet. This has been one of the concerns when I've done trainings on this, is that perhaps some teachers don't want to take the time to make the questions. And my recommendation would be just to create one account with with your staff, and you can share them and then create them as you go. The reports button, this is where you review your data, so you're able to you can look at your score sheet or your question history to just get an assessment at the end of your Plickers session. The live button, this is how the screen will appear before you connect with your device. You do have to have the application on your phone in order to use Plickers or your device. So how do you connect your device? So what you would do is you'd first go to your app store on your device and search for Plickers. From the phone app, you'd add questions to the queue. So first you choose your class. As you can see, I have several. And then you choose a question from your library, or you can create your own question from your phone or device. From the phone app, add questions to the queue. So you choose a set of questions, then you choose individual questions, or you can just add questions to the queue. Questions are already created from your computer. So I usually create mine on my computer first, and then I just load them into my app. Creating questions from your phone. If you create questions by entering question and possible answers, mark the one that is correct on the right. And this is how your question will appear. How do you go live? From your mobile device, add questions to the class via the question class queue first. You do want to make sure that you have your Wi-Fi connected. If it's not connected, it won't do anything. So make sure on your device that that is connected. And then from the Plickers website, you simply navigate to live view page. And then this will appear from your mobile device. You select the question from your queue tab. From the Plickers website, you will be updated automatically. Students will see the question on the screen. So it'll look something like this is what the overhead will look like. And like I said, if the screen does not appear, then check your Wi-Fi or your internet connection to make sure that you're connected, because otherwise it'll just be a blank screen. And the first time I did this, that's exactly what happened to me, and it was a little frustrating. How to go live. Once students hold up answers, teacher presses scan button to capture the responses, and when she or he is done scanning, you just press check button to finish. And the cool thing is you should be able to scan the entire room just from one spot and get the answers right away. You then, to go to the next question, hit the back button and then click on the next question you want to display. So why should you use Plickers? It's fun and it's free. It only requires one device and allows for quick assessment of students' understanding. It allows for interactive teaching, and every student is engaged. So even the quietest student in your classroom is still able to participate, and they do not see it as scores on the board. So it's not like Kahoot, it's not a game, it's just an assessment tool. It allows for teachable moments between questions, and assessment reports are provided. And to quote one of the participants in one of my trainings, Plickers is magical. So I highly recommend using Plickers. It is super fun, and it's a quick way to really get the students to practice what they know and to understand what they are understanding and what they're not. Some ideas for using Plickers. Collaboration, have students work in teams, assign each team a Plickers card. This could be used for open-ended questions, discussion topics, math, word problems, other problem-solving questions. And I'm sure there's others. Can you think of any other ideas for using Plickers for student collaboration? Instant individual student assessment, pre-assessment before starting a lesson. Sometimes I might do this before a math session. Post-assessment or an exit ticket following a lesson, or practice during a lesson. Students tend to identify patterns that help them with understanding during Plickers. I know for me that this has happened to me where I had a class that was struggling to understand percents to decimals to fractions. So when I was doing it just the classic way and just on the board, they weren't getting it and they're frazzled. So I told them to go take a break. And when they came back, I pulled out Plickers instead. And they were able to see and identify the patterns as we went. So it was helping them to understand. We started out with a very low percentage at the beginning, but ended with a very high percentage at the end. And that's usually how Plickers works. Can you think of any assessment ideas you might like to use Plickers for? You could also do student surveys, so student polls, voting, maybe an interest inventory, prior knowledge assessment, or student evaluations. Tips and tricks to recommend for Plickers. If you do not want to take the time to type the questions, you can upload task cards or screen capture already made test questions and upload them as images. Plickers is working on developing a sharing feature so that teachers can share questions with each other. You might consider sharing an account with your teaching staff so you can share questions. Before a Plickers activity, do a trial run by using a demo class, scan cards around the room. Make sure that you understand how it works and that it works for you. Make sure you assign codes to individual students. That is best when you're in a classroom environment. If you're not in a classroom environment and maybe you're using it for professional development, what I usually do is I usually put like fictional characters' names up there and just tell my attendees that that's their name for the day so they can know to look for that name. Test out technology to ensure Plickers will work in the classroom you are using. And decide which size codes will work best for the group you are teaching. So I do not recommend small cards for a large group. For instance, not a couple weeks ago, we used Plickers with a group of 150 people, thinking we would just have one card per table, which would have worked great if I had printed bigger cards, but I used the small ones and that made it extremely difficult. So I do not recommend doing it that way. During a Plickers activity, make sure students' fingers do not cover the codes, because if they cover the codes, you can't scan it. If you laminate the codes, sometimes the glare makes it difficult to scan, so cardstock works better. Make sure your device is charged and be aware that Plickers might drain your battery. Students can change answers while the question is still live. After the Plickers activity, you can go back and review scorecard to see which students had the most difficulty. And you can also review the history and see which questions students struggled with the most. So is Plickers like Kahoot? Plickers versus Kahoot. Well, Plickers, you only need one computer and an overhead. With Kahoot, you need a computer and one computer and an overhead as well. Plickers, you only need one mobile device. With Kahoot, each student needs a device. With Plickers, you just need QR codes, and with Kahoot, you need devices. Images can be included in both. A score sheet reporting feature is available in Plickers. Results can be downloaded on Kahoot. With Plickers, there is no time limit, so it doesn't really have that game effect. With Kahoot, each question is timed. Plickers is not competitive, whereas Kahoot is. And with Plickers, there is no sharing feature at this time. Hopefully, they will get that soon. With Kahoot, there are millions of games being shared on Kahoot. So Plickers is really more like a quick assessment activity, whereas Kahoot is more like a game. So Kahoot has more of a fun feature to it, whereas Plickers is really more of an assessment tool. And what do others think about Plickers? Um, Teachers all over from all walks of life, whether it's adult education or K through 12, really like Plickers for a number of reasons. One said, "It's incredible. This app will change the way I assess. I never have access to clickers. They are painful. I used to use simple methods to do formative assessment, like thumb up and thumb down or hold up the number of fingers because they were simple and reliable. This destroys those and has no real downsides." Another one said, "I love the ease of this. No waiting for students to log in. Very efficient, and the kids love it." So yes, you do not have to mess around with logins or devices or computer issues. I'm giving just another example. I love that you write your own questions and that you don't need additional technology for your students. I will let you read through the rest of those on your own. So now that we've gone over this, educators should now have a better understanding of what Plickers is, how to use Plickers in the classroom, how to create their own Plickers account, and how to go live with Plickers, and reasons to use Plickers. Here is my information in case anybody wants to reach out to me or has any questions. I do presentations on this as well, so you're always welcome to email me or contact me. Thank you.